No, I'm busy tonight, actually.
Hey gang, welcome to the JerryHotPants Club podcast. I am Pete, and with me as always is...
I'm Chris.
Over there is...
Yusafia the Amazing.
No, when you say that, are you referring to yourself in the third person?
I sure the fuck am.
That's awfully bold of you. Okay, and today's special guest flew in all the way from Pennsylvania just to be on the show.
That's right, just to be on the show. No other reason.
No other reason.
So fucking cram it, people. Introduce yourself to the crowd.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Stephanie, and I'm a Bay City native. Haven't lived here since
I wouldn't admit that to too many people.
1999, but I've been back since.
Right.
I'm a social worker, and I do a lot of work in substance use, mental health, and big proponent of harm reduction, and definitely want to go on the record to say that anything I say today does not represent anybody that pays me professionally.
That's wise of you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's bound to get silly in here.
Yeah, I know.
So, Chris,
you should start putting that in too for your place of employment. So
my place of employment?
Yeah,
they pay me to tell people to fuck themselves. So, I mean, they get what they get. So, dear God, I'm going to get fired after today. So, Stephanie, Chris, do you have any questions right off the bat? Because I'm always asking questions. Why don't you go first?
Should we legalize heroin?
I mean, we're going to jump right in.
Yeah.
It's the United States, so
Right.
it's a tough country to talk about, right? Because
Right.
we've got all these states. I think we should do some pilots, especially in the smaller states. I don't know Michigan's ideal because it's so big.
Okay. So smaller states, but Michigan's ideal because it's big.
I mean, you're
no,
talking.
it's not ideal.
Oh,
Too
it's
big.
not ideal.
It's too
Okay, I
big.
didn't hear you.
So you're talking as far as like population, or just
Yeah,
area?
Population, lots of counties, right?
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
like 10th in population, actually, I think.
yeah.
you look at the Upper Peninsula; it's like a whole nother place.
Yeah, it's definitely totally different than Detroit.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. how
And the
different it
cost
is.
of street drugs up there is higher because the availability is lower.
Supply.
like
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, just like gasoline, you fucking dolt.
Yeah, we'll fucking start pumping some fucking oil. What do you want me to do about it?
Okay, anyway,
All right,
I-
so...
I will say, I think we should decriminalize all drugs.
Okay.
decriminalization. Okay, and you're not for that, right?
I've been on the record as I believe decriminalization will only increase demand for the cartels. I believe it would the cartels' golden opportunity to flood the country with dope. I don't think decriminalize. Now, obviously, I don't want anyone to be criminalized for possession of drugs. I have a hard time with these drug dealers going to prison because they sold somebody some heroin and they OD'd on it too. But I just don't. You have to go full legalization for everything. But I have an extremely hard time saying heroin's legal. It just doesn't feel.
Doesn't roll off the tongue
It
very
doesn't.
well, does it?
I know there's going to be a whole bunch of people that try it because it's available and they can get it legally now. But if you
Okay,
decriminalize it, they'll give the cartels will have an unlimited you will never get in trouble for it, so they can just keep flooding more dope because there's no penalty.
Okay, so where is there a place where they have done this, where they've decriminalized heroin and made it legal?
So this gets tricky when we're talking like legal terms, right? And I'll go on the record to say I feel like I don't know much about much, but Portugal, I think.
It was Portugal, yes.
They've done a lot to decriminalize and put a lot of their money for substance use treatment into employment and have had some pretty interesting outcomes there. And so,
Yeah, they pay people like half wages for people. Like if you own an auto garage, right?
Yep.
And you come to them and they say, "Hey, we have this guy. We're trying rehabilitation. We'll pay half his wages for a year."
Yep.
Yeah. So, and the overdose rate in that country is like next to nothing, if not zero.
I'm a big proponent of any criminalization that you do to addicts.
You said doo-doo.
Be sentenced to work rather than being sentenced to probation and having a felony and never being able to get a job. I would sentence people to like a good job because you're just making. I don't know. It seems like the right idea.
So you're going
to
to
me.
take somebody out of active addiction and just throw them into work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
treatment?
Well, yeah, that's going to go along with that. Like maybe if you need like some inpatient for 30, 90 days, something like that, maybe 6 months, even 18 months, I don't know. But then you get sentenced to like you have to work, and then you would have like your option. Like it wouldn't be like you wouldn't like work for the state. There would be, I mean, I know somebody who would employ you. I know somebody who employs people that when they get arrested for drugs in a certain county's jail, he goes and sees them and says, "Guess what? You got a job."
Yeah, he gave one of our closest friends a job recently too.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah, and he's getting tan.
Yeah, he's
working outside.
He looks buff too.
That's what he said. I told him he's going to gain some muscle, but he's going to lose a bunch of weight over the summer.
Yeah, well, that little fucking peanut head. He can afford it. So you were recently where on?
Oh, I was in the Netherlands. I teach a study abroad course over there on harm reduction and tolerance.
Okay, and what is the status of heroin over there?
Good question. So it's really confusing. Like a lot of people think that weed is legal in the Netherlands, right? Like people used to flock there to smoke weed, but it's actually not legal.
Really?
It's controversial. So you can go into a coffee shop and buy, I believe, 5 grams of weed a day, but that's not legal. Really, it's just
not policed.
It's not policed, and there's a big problem with it because it still requires drug runners because there's no like federal growing of weed, and coffee shops cannot grow weed themselves. So there's drug runners, right? So yeah, weed's not even legal. There are legal heroin clinics where basically if you're over the age of 35 and you've been using heroin for a certain amount of time, it might be a decade, then you can go to these clinics in the morning and you can use heroin and then you go to work.
Really?
I get to go to these places actually. So
now, do they have the heroin there for you?
Yeah. Like there was a little like packet that I thought was an alcohol swab, you know, or like a prep pad thing for your arm when you get a shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Oh, this is the heroin." So come to find out, I found out this last trip that the heroin is made at this remote hospital in the Netherlands that's closed down otherwise. And when they deliver the heroin to the heroin clinics, the dude has to handcuff the heroin to his arm because obviously it's really dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
So basically it is synthesized there. For the use in these clinics.
It's the best heroin.
And the person is a carrier. What you're describing is pretty much like a carrier.
Basically a drug runner, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But this is legal, right? Because the Netherlands decided as a country to legalize heroin because there was such a problem in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s with just the red light district becoming a disaster. So there's like needles everywhere and a lot of people were getting
And now, real
diseases.
quick, when you say the red light district, is that just a place for prostitution, or is that general debauchery?
Well, actually, it's a neighborhood. Like children live in the red light district. In fact, there's numerous daycare centers right next to windows. Wow. So kids are really used to sex workers. Sex work is a part of the red light district, but it's like the most popular area of Amsterdam as well. Like everyone wants to go there. So it's not just sex work.
Now, is it called the red light district because they have neon red lights, or is that just like it's designated the red light district?
I believe it's because of the lights. I should know this because we like do a tour, but yeah. So if a red light is on, then usually there's a woman in the window that you can purchase if you like.
So that's why nobody ever came over when I put my porch light on. Remember that, Chris? You had the red light.
Yeah, you got titties, bro, but not that kind.
Bullshit. I haven't worn a bra a day in my life except maybe 3, and they're nice and perky.
You wore one last Halloween. Did you have one on for that outfit?
No, I don't need to. They're perky as fuck, bro.
Lipstick, nails done, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There are male sex workers, by the way. I inquired about this.
I know Yusuf is one.
I thought seriously about purchasing one, but then felt like it would be too awkward.
Why would it be awkward?
It's all the same.
I don't know. You know, a couple years ago when I was there, like it was the week that the
weird.
pandemic started, I asked in class, like, well, are there like male sex workers? Because this is kind of weird. And they're like, Stephanie, just go to the bar. Like, you don't need a sex worker.
God damn.
But you pay him to leave, not to stay.
Yeah, but these guys probably like have really soft hands and probably they got those cum gutters. What I mean by cum gutters, I mean abs. You know what I'm saying?
What the fuck?
call
What
those-
I like is I can just tell them to leave whenever the fuck I want.
You
That's
pay them to leave.
magic.
You
let's
pay,
do this. Goodbye.
pay a hoe to leave, not to stay.
Oh my god, they're
And-
probably amazing listeners.
Oh yes, I'm sure you can just vibe to cry.
You can buy sex workers just to talk to. That's a thing.
No, it's not.
And cuddle workers
cuddle
too.
workers.
Cuddle workers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought they were called therapists.
We don't cuddle people.
you
I
can't.
mean, I'm not currently a therapist, but have been, and I've never cuddled a client, thankfully.
Well, this guy Lou did when I went over to his house.
Well, he sounds scary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to him.
So, what is the overdose rate like in the Netherlands?
It's like non-existent.
So you have state provided opiates, and these are usually injection sites, correct?
No, so they smoke the heroin. You can also inject if you have to, but like the injecting seems kind of shameful because if you smoke, you get to do it in a group of people, and it's the same group of people every day. So like they're excited to see each other, they know each other, they hug each other. But if you inject, you have to go into a room by yourself.
That makes sense.
I mean, yeah, because it's, it's funny. We were talking just before a show a couple weeks ago, and we were discussing like the old life, if you will, and for people who end up using needles as part of their ritual when they're using drugs, sometimes that's like as big
There's
a part
the
of it.
euphoria behind that ritual.
Yeah, and it's hard sometimes to see it on TV or when people really get going in a conversation and they're getting into the details of it. It's really hard to not like get taken back there right away in your head. And if you were somebody who has transitioned into going into this group and smoking heroin with people, but then, in comes fucking Joe Blow and, it could throttle somebody going, this ain't working. And so I could see that. That makes sense.
No, they actually have heroin, right? It's actually,
That's what I was wondering if
Yeah,
it's
'cause
actual
there's not-
heroin.
The best heroin you can get.
so
Pure heroin.
He's over there booking a fucking.
he's like
Clearly
he's
not.
like
In my
sex
mind, I'm doing the
workers,
minutia.
heroin.
I'm
It's
running
like-
numbers in my head right
Yeah.
now.
He's
how
like,
long can I take off work, and how long will it be before
Work? He's
Callie
not coming
notices I'm
back?
gone?
What do you
Never
do-
coming back, bro. That's it.
What about your girlfriend at the house?
bye.
she can go with you, I'm sure.
she'd be.
It's
Alice
gonna
in
be a
Wonderland.
phone call in like 24 hours. Like, honey, I started a new life. Click.
You can have the house, by the way.
Feed
And
my
you're
cats.
No, fuck those.
Feed the cats.
You're taking those cats with you. You just spent an hour defending them.
My
the other day.
main cat is gonna start doing heroin.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so this is where it sidetracks every time. You fucking take it so far one way or the other. That
Smoke
it's
this.
uncomfortable.
Here,
So-
kitty, smoke this.
You're slacking on your job of muting.
I'm
him
sorry.
when he's-
So
I'm
let me
done.
ask some. The people that go to the heroin clinic, they're going there before. They go in there in the morning and then they go to work.
Yeah.
They all have jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people do drugs here because they don't have jobs.
yeah.
They don't have
Structure is
any-
super important.
Yeah, they don't have anything else to do, and they're like, "Fuck it, I'll just get high."
Yeah.
Yeah, because here
And we can't. Also, there's no heroin in America anymore. It's all fentanyl.
Yeah,
Right.
But here we like. There's such a stigma that follows addicts, and there's just like this. It's a big scarlet A that we wear. Like I just found out an hour ago that this job that I really wanted, that was good, that everyone that works there told me I'd be really good at,
Yeah.
I can't get because I'm a felon.
But but we kind of knew that.
We had the idea, and I'm not like I'm in my head about it. I'm a
Yeah.
little hurt, but
The
at the
reason-
same time, like I'm not gonna. It's not an excuse to go get high, but more importantly, like. And I was just talking to my sponsor for a minute, and I'm like, fucking, I had to get that pity potty shit out for a minute where I'm, nobody fucking, everyone doing this, but I feel better now.
It sucks when it happens. You gotta. Yeah. It's.
But it's like this country, you're taught that, the American way is like pick yourself up by the bootstraps and go, right? But yet we're served defeat after defeat after defeat. Like it's hard, especially as addicts.
Defeat.
Dude, stop. You just.
People are
You're
trying to keep
getting on
me
par with his weirdness.
Podcast.
I mean, you're all weird.
I'm not weird.
I'm weird for being here.
Yes.
Yeah, you fucking spent money on a plane ticket to come here.
You should have heard our ideas for you before you were here.
Oh my God, here he goes again.
It's all
Harm reduction.
No, your ideas,
Harm
by
reduction.
the way, so you know.
Harm reduction.
Are you on a list somewhere?
Harm reduction?
I think you're probably both. on
Say it
lists.
one more time.
Harm reduction. I'm not on a list. What list would I be on?
Central Registry.
You're a fucking
You say
cunt.
a lot of crazy stuff online.
No, I don't.
Your aunt
We're
cussed you
all
out
on a
for
list.
cussing
I know
online.
I've been on a list since 2001. So
Because you're fucking
No.
from the Middle East. That's why you're on a list.
Didn't you have to like delete your Twitter page recently?
Yeah. I deleted my Twitter page because apparently you cannot yell at conservatives without their feelings being hurt.
It wasn't conservatives. It was just Trump, and it was years of mental illness, like documented in.
It wasn't just Trump. It
linear
was
form.
It was Boebert and fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ben Shapiro's fucking making every woman a vagina dry ass.
Would you like to
And
repeat any of the tweets that you said? What are some of your
I
favorites?
called them a bunch of cucks and incest enthusiasts.
It was much more colorful than that.
I'm sure.
there's not enough time.
No, you're right.
One day,
Anyway, you
maybe.
can't prove that I did anyway, so there's that.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah, don't go on my phone. So, would you say that over there with the approach that they've had, they're giving these guys this stuff in the morning, they're going to work,
Yeah.
right? And they're leading productive lives?
Yeah, they also get, like treatment, not just heroin. So
So now, okay, so my question will be like kind of a segue into this. So how long do they stay in these clinics for?
the rest of their life, likely.
Really?
Sounds like the
Really?
methadone clinic, just heroin.
No.
No?
No. Number one, methadone clinics in the United States are mostly for-profit clinics. That's definitely not the case in the Netherlands. Nobody's making money off people in heroin clinics, but the U.S. is making a lot of money off people on methadone and Suboxone. By the way, I want to go on the record and also say I'm a huge proponent of medication-assisted treatment. It's one of the most important harm reduction things that we have. It's just most of the time it's not done right here.
Yeah.
No, it's not done right.
People on Suboxone just nodding out everywhere.
Well, you're supposed to titrate off. You're supposed to get counseling. That's part of the evidence-based treatment. But in the United States, we half-ass everything.
Yes. And you see it, like I know somebody right now that, they give me so much per month and I don't need it. And I'm like, then why do you take it all? You give an addict a fucking,
So much caffeine.
Crackheads.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, I watch this guy sit there and just, unaware of where he's at most of the time. And he's angry all the time. Like, remember when you were still using all the time or when you were drunk all the time, how fucking angry you were and just how upset you were at life in general and how everyone was out to get you? That's how this guy is. And I don't see the quality of life there. I don't. I believe that these things have a purpose, and I believe that, I know somebody that was on the Sublocade shot, right? And they just eventually, they kept lowering the dose, and then they no longer took it. And you know what? Because he had that buffer, he was able to fight through the worst part of, like, that first year where you want to be like, fuck it, I'm going to go get high. Like, I didn't have a choice. I was either going to, like, not get high or go to prison.
Or die.
Or die.
And you can't help people if they're dead. So that's kind of the main point of medication-assisted treatment. Like,
Right.
what are you going to... Once somebody dies, you're done.
Right, you can't overdose on Suboxone. And, I mean, within limits, obviously. But the point being is I would rather them... Because you know what you're getting with Suboxone.
Yeah.
You know you're getting shit off the street that's going to kill you.
Well, that's the problem in America. I think why we talk about legalization and decriminalization is because we talk about dosage and purity. So you have no idea what you're taking, how much it is, and maybe you just got like a bad corner that wasn't stirred up enough or something. And if you have, if I go get a pill, I know purity, dosage, and I can regulate exactly how much I'm taking.
But you
That doesn't mean you can't. That doesn't mean you don't have to abuse certain drugs because you can still, take more. But at least you got a chance if everything's labeled and proportioned.
Well, you got to make sure it's coming straight from the pharmacy, too. Like, shortly before I moved on to heroin, I was buying a ton of fucking Vicodin. Went to a guy I went to 1,001 times, and I got a really good deal. Oh, okay. What are we talking about? It's like $3 a pill. Normally, they're $5 at this time. Well, shit. So, hook me up. Get home, and they were pressed. It was basically just a bunch of ibuprofen. I took like 30 of them, and I fucking puked. So like, and the streets are regulating the way drugs are handled because it's a money making enterprise. With, like you said, with big pharma involved, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, big pharma is the root of all evil.
Hmm.
It's America's biggest problem.
Next to Yusuf.
This episode brought to you by Pfizer.
All right, I got a quick question. So, with the assisted, I don't know, what do you call it? The
Medicated assisted.
Medication assisted treatment, or MAT for short.
Now, are these individuals are they? Is their nourishment with par with people that don't take, with people that don't need any assistance? All right, are they working out? What's their sex life like? Is everything still regular? Are they underweight because of stuff that goes hand in hand with when we used to get fucked up?
Oh, okay. So
I don't want to work out. I don't want to have sex. Yeah, the quality of life. I was underweight.
I mean, I don't know.
Are they mostly skinny?
Yeah, I mean, once you leave America,
okay, you're right there. I forget.
There's that piece, but they all seemed really
Was
happy.
that a shot, bro?
Huh?
Was that a shot?
No.
You're resting your arms on your belly.
I'm
okay,
in
bud.
between my belly and my
It's okay.
tits. What a fucking bunch of cunts. Anyway,
we're gonna get you looking like $1 million here soon. You'll see. But yeah, no, there isn't any kind of they don't do any surveys about that. About is there any
Probably
statistics?
pretty anonymous.
I
there.
mean, the quality of life is so much better overall. But I'll say that I got to see the dosing once. So since then, I don't really like taking my students to see this because I feel like we're watching people in a zoo and it seems rude.
Okay, yeah.
But I went once with just my boss, and one of the clients made fun of me because I was from America, and he's like, "Oh, Donald Trump, good job," and cool overdose rates over there. You guys are doing a really good job. So you would have never guessed these people were about to smoke heroin and just did smoke heroin in front of me. Never would have guessed
completely
it.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
did their demeanor change from before to after?
no. So they also do use methadone, which, I'm no brain scientist here, so this gets really confusing, but they do also use methadone, I guess, to help people not get as high. So basically what they've seen over there is once they've introduced this legal heroin and methadone, some people don't get the legal heroin. They just stay on methadone. I wish I would have brought my laptop. I could show you the slide where literally just rates of use have gone completely down the whole time. So every year you see a reduction in use, even in the pandemic, which is really surprising because you definitely didn't see that here.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
And they had issues during the pandemic with people being able to get their doses and things like that. But
I mean, it makes more sense.
totally worked.
If it's not out on the streets where people are making a ton of money on it, they're not interested in trying to push it on everybody.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to make money if the government is your fucking hookup, right? So now it's not on the streets and it's not getting introduced to newer people, to the rate that it is here.
What's unemployment like in the education system over there? Are they
the
working?
education system's amazing. I think the employment system's pretty good, and people do get public assistance. It's structured a lot differently than ours is.
Yeah. I just think the drug problem here has flourished as the government's gotten bigger and taken control of more and more things. You see the tent cities popping up. You see different kind of drugs coming across the border. You see the public school systems notoriously failing in the bigger cities. It just doesn't seem to. It's like people are almost like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get high.
Well, because everybody's miserable. Americans are miserable. That's why they use so many drugs. Yeah. I mean, the government's one thing, but capitalism thrives on shame. So if people feel shame, they don't want to, and they do anything they can to feel better. And I haven't been to a ton of countries, but in my experience, Americans are just shameful people. I get yelled at for saying sorry too much over there. Why? What are you saying sorry for? You reached across me. Shut up.
Yeah.
We're treating our emotions over here with substances. Americans are fucking miserable, and you see it when you leave. Yeah.
I'm not miserable, but I see a lot of misery involved in just the daily. I mean, gas is $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. It's like, holy shit, what's going on? I mean, gas is about to be $10 a gallon on the West Coast. It's insane. I mean, this is the country's breaking.
It
like,
is $10 a gallon in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, in Europe it's a little more expensive all the time, I think. But the country is breaking very quickly in front of your eyes. This inflation could have taken decades and decades and decades has happened in the course of like a year. It's just through the roof. It's crazy. I don't know what else to do except sit at home and, try to conserve money. They've not gone a lot of places just last week because I was like, shit, I don't want to drive there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's scary to see what's going to happen. But, they can deliver dope to your door. So
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw 2 new dispensaries popped up right on my way into town.
And see, that's the other thing, right? That fucking irritates the shit out of me. When I was 20, and I sat down, or no, I was 22, and my dad was still drinking at the time, and I went to the bar with him. And I said, you know that I smoke weed like crazy, right? And he's like, that's just fucking stupid. It's illegal. And I said, Dad, you drive home drunk every night. That's illegal. Yeah, well, I know what I'm doing. With 3 DUIs, clearly you don't. But the next day we were both sober and had a conversation about how, like, I wasn't trying to change his mind, but he came into his own conclusion. Eventually, he was like, I understand that it should probably be legal because people are going to smoke it anyway, no matter what. It's a huge business. I get it.
No one dies from it.
No one dies from it. But what irritates me is that, like, there's this whole subculture of people that exist that are just like, like IPA beer drinkers.
Yeah.
Those obnoxious fucking twats.
Yeah.
The bro, I'm so fucking cooked right now. I just fucking took a massive dab and I'm just like fucking, what I mean? I'm just like ready, bro. And so I hate those people.
So,
and I think part of it is jealousy because I wanted weed the whole time I was smoking weed. I wanted it to be legal. And now, like, I go to work and there's blunt roaches in the ashtray outside of my fucking work. And it's not from the people that work there. It's like people getting out of their car and they throw it in the ashtray.
yeah. So the thing is, though, it's still a Schedule 1 drug, right? Have you guys talked about that yet?
Yeah,
yes.
Heroin and pot are Schedule 1 drugs. It's crazy.
No, heroin is not a Schedule 1
not?
drug. I think it's a Schedule 3. Marijuana is a higher schedule because supposedly there's medical benefit for opioids, which
there is.
They
still have a ton of variances.
It's the reason I've never used heroin because when I'm dying, I really want painkillers to work. But yeah, so we
a little morbid. It's kind of morbid.
It's not morbid.
I'm
That's
super-
sensical.
I'm super morbid.
Got the morbs.
You know me.
Yeah, I know you're morbid.
Got the morbs.
Yeah, I'm.
Shut your fucking sauce box.
Yeah. What was the number one?
I don't remember.
Well, pull
the list.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Let me jump into harm reduction again real quick. When I think of harm reduction, the first thing I think of is needle exchange. Mm-hmm. But apparently that's not what you're talking about over there because they're not injecting. So with the needle exchanges, I know a lot of people, they don't like to sell needles to addicts because they're like, clean needles turn into dirty needles. But if you just have dirty needles, then they're just going to like share them.
Yeah, all needles turn into dirty needles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you see the needles all over the big cities, but it's called needle exchange because you're supposed to turn in your old one and get a new
they're
one.
doing it out in California in some spots, I believe, correct? I know for sure.
They do it all over the
They
West
do it in
Coast.
Grand Rapids.
Do they do it in Grand Rapids?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a program called the Red Project. It's actually a great thing. But so harm reduction is not necessarily one technique. It's a mindset, right? That like people are valued and you'll do whatever you can to help them feel less pain and experience less harm.
Yeah, so let's keep going into harm reduction. So I was talking before the podcast about on the West Coast how bad the homeless are getting inundated with just various different forms of fentanyl now that are being mixed with other drugs, and they're all aware that they were doing interviews and people were saying, I'll be lucky to live another year, and you see them talking and they're like not all there. They're mixing the fentanyl with these other drugs now, and the social workers are going out into the streets and they're like cleaning wounds and they're giving needles and they're giving alcohol swabs and things like that. And I mean, some of that, they're trying to save lives and it feels good. But it just seems like it's like enabling more of it. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's too late. Like we're catching it way too late. You know what I mean? You're 50 years old and you're homeless shooting meth or shooting fentanyl when you could have, when you were 6, you could have had good schooling and gone to a good job. And it's just like they want to like just keep it's almost like Big Pharma. They want to treat the problem and never cure it. And you got to cure.
Well, where's the money in that?
Well, we got to cure a whole bunch of things if we're going to cure that. So, like, we've got to cure, and I'm sure this hasn't come up on the podcast, but trauma, adverse childhood experiences, bad shit that happens to people is what leads to drug use. Nobody's out there like wanting to become somebody who uses drugs, and the data is actually profound on that.
I did. Okay, I'm lying.
Did not.
Yeah.
Like if you look at why people use and you look at this adverse childhood experience data, which anyone can look at, it's a 10-question survey and the data is super strong.
You sent that to me. Use. I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Probably. Or at the And probably when I decided to quit booze.
Yeah. And how long has it been now since you've had a drink?
Over 14 months. Last week was 14 months.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but hit the thing.
I don't know which one it is. This one? Oh, no. No.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
We gotta put our own sounds in there.
So these adverse childhood experiences, right? So there are 10 questions like, were you abused? Did you see your mom abused? Do you have mental illness in your family? Things like this.
Yes.
These things lead to a lot of things, but drug use is a big one, but also negative health consequences. So, and this research has been around for 30 years, but no one wants to talk about it because a lot of people will lose money if we start treating trauma. So
if
we
you start
don't
treating the underlying illness.
Yeah. But this whole enabling, enabling is a word that I don't use anymore because I don't even think it makes sense. Like a lot of what you're saying is right. We're just too far gone. We're not going to like change the system right now. We're not going to help people in any way. So let's keep them alive.
It's almost like you're trying to let them have like a soft death, like shit, like sorry, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and treatment sucks. Like if you look at the outcomes of treatment in this country, they're fucking awful. And I've said this, if I ever develop some kind of serious issue, and I did 14 months ago, I decided to stop alcohol because in the pandemic I just got out of my mind.
Yeah, a lot of people did, right?
Yeah.
That was a thing.
It was. I locked myself in a hotel room. Like I let myself go out and eat, right? Because it's alcohol. It's not like I was trying to go out and drink more. I was just really miserable and needed to get out of my house. But I would never pay to go to substance use treatment. I wouldn't. I can get what I need out of a manual. Anybody can, and I'd rather spend the money elsewhere.
I'm going to counter what you say here. I have a friend, and you spoke with her.
Oh yeah, yep.
So we went through this a few times where I'm not going to go to treatment. I'm just going to do it this way. And so 2 times in a row, on my couch for months at a time, cleaned out, 12-step meetings, speaking with other people in recovery daily, doing events, activities, things like that, and ends up right back where we started.
Well, I wouldn't say it like that. I mean, I'm sure she learned a lot in those processes.
But each time she goes back out, she stays out longer and does worse shit.
That's fair. Although, like, she was still alive and clean during that period of time that she was on your couch. So you see the same thing with rehab.
Right. And so, like I was talking to somebody yesterday, they went to a treatment facility in Flint, and there was a lot in the way of like shaming this person. Like they forgot to pick up a piece of trash. They had to sit there and stare at it for 15 minutes. And the whole holding signs thing, like I did this is how I fucked up. So that everybody could walk by and just, cast shame upon them. Like,
so that
doesn't work.
More. Yeah, that doesn't work. So if you look at the research, shaming, confrontation, none of that stuff works. What works is compassion, empathy, keeping things simple for people. But our system isn't designed that way.
I remember when my neighbor was like, why don't you just stop doing drugs? Like, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Why didn't I come up with that all by myself? Fuck's sake. And, I've since had a conversation with him. I saw him maybe a month and a half ago. I barely ever see the guy, but when I sat down and talked to him on his porch, and he said, I don't understand, because he had a son that overdosed and died, and I didn't know that until we had this conversation. And he's still bitter. He's still angry that his son is gone because he doesn't understand. He says, those goddamn addicts are the ones that killed my son. And I'm like, I can't explain this to him because he's not, I can't have a discussion with him about what an addict is, how an addict operates, any of that stuff, because he just sees everybody that is his son in anybody that's an addict.
So let's talk about harm reduction for a minute. So just the word addict, we can use harm reduction there because our language alone, like when we've talked about this, Pete, right? Like the word addict is very pejorative. I don't use the word addict. When I did go to Alcoholics
What does the word
Anonymous,
pejorative mean?
It's like judgmental.
Okay.
So it, like Pete is not an addict. Pete is Pete. He's had an addiction in his life. Like, I don't think of it like that. And just that language actually adds more shame to addiction and mental health issues, right? Like calling someone schizophrenic, that's not who they are. They're a person that has a chronic condition. Yeah. But even our language is, pretty shaming. And if you look at the 12-step language, it's definitely in there. And then the whole, sexist part of 12-step is a whole nother thing.
No, hold on here. That
It's
fellowship,
sexist?
Yes.
So we're talking about Alcoholics Anonymous.
That fellowship, maybe.
Okay.
That book is pretty, it's wild.
It was written fucking almost 100 years ago.
I get it.
And again, the problem with literature is language. It's interpretation. So, where I disagree is that I don't have a problem identifying myself as an addict because that tells me what the issue is, right? I am not like
You've crossed a threshold that's taken many, many years, though.
yeah,
I'm kind of understanding what she's saying.
Yeah, but I see there's ownership and there's power in me making that admittance because I can now say I am an addict and it's okay. I'm not a fucking throw. Even if the whole world is lined up against me, I don't fucking care. And it comes back to me not getting this job. Like, those felonies were committed as a result of my addiction. So I'm being viewed in a negative light by an employer, and I understand why.
Oh, no.
But not by an employer.
It's
but
a failure of government.
Exactly.
Because
they wanted me for the job.
Yeah.
They wanted me for the job.
Yeah.
The point is, like, being an addict doesn't, it could disqualify me from certain things. Honestly, like, I got to look at it in the light of maybe I'm not ready to be working there right now. Maybe, the universe has other plans for me, and I'm okay with that. But it has nothing to do with me being an addict. Me being an addict actually makes me right for that job.
Well, sure. I'm not saying you haven't had an addiction. It's just not thinking about the other parts of you. And that law is a joke. It wasn't there like 10 years ago. And it is really a failure of government. I mean, there's no reason to try to keep people unemployed. The whole legal system is just fucking stupid.
Upside down, yeah.
It is.
It's
because
stupid.
we've talked about this on the show before. Like, we can't. I don't think where I work is going to be where I retire from. Because if that's the case, fucking kill me
Holy
now.
shit.
I
That
know.
would be wild.
Right.
Can
You better be a
imagine?
stockholder or some shit.
30 years of just talking shit to people. That's insane.
Do what you love.
Yeah, right? If you're good at it, don't do it for free. But I feel like my identification as an addict is enough to, because it's not about substance abuse. It's not specifically about
It's substance use disorder now.
It is a substance. Good job.
So, but
Also, felons aren't felons. It's people who have been in the legal system or something like that.
Previously incarcerated
Something like
people,
that.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
Sounds
know.
like that
I'm
shit
not
you were
sure.
talking about the
There's
other
a-
day called Newspeak.
There's a whole
newspeak.
bunch of new.
It is.
It's just pieces.
It's Orwellian doublespeak.
So, okay, no.
It's
Like,
not really. They're softening the language so that it doesn't have such a bad.
So it doesn't hurt
Well,
connotation.
everybody.
because we don't want shame, right? Because shame is stupid, and it's what leads people to use. Like, I think this kind of language is much different than Newspeak, because it's actually talking about what it is. Again, Pete is Pete, right? My friend Pete, he has had an addiction, and I don't look at him as an addict. I think it's fine he self-identifies as
You
an
should
addict.
see him with cigarettes and Red Bull. He's
Well-
definitely an addict.
Yeah, and it's not just it's cigarettes, it's Red Bull, it's women, it's spending
Cussing.
money, cussing.
Oh my God! You should have seen him scratching these scratch offs this morning. It was
yeah.
Oh, we're
out
back
of
on
this
this
worldly
again.
experience.
That's because you're not allowed to do those things.
just
And you were an odd. Be like if I went to a fucking
Wait.
a vet and I saw them neutering cats.
I mean, this
I've
is
never said I'd
probably
be in awe.
shaming, like you're saying, because now from hearing you talk, I'm like, okay, I'm probably shaming him, but I've like,
That's our thing. We shame each other.
That's what you
started-
do. Yeah.
yeah, he just the process of him doing the scratch off tickets and with two other people,
Yeah.
and they have this ritual and and it just went like one more.
Yeah,
One more.
he just skips the whole foreplay and goes right to like mainline and that
He does,
shit.
but
Just scratch the bottom and put it under the thing.
The
Yeah,
other
'cause
guy
I'm
that was
impatient.
there was actually going through the process.
I'm very impatient
So
too.
I'd argue you probably have a dopamine deficiency. And
Oh,
you're just-
clearly.
You're just looking for dopamine all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
It's a brain
yeah,
disease.
you know what? That's why he does those face swaps and just posts ridiculous photoshops on the
Oh,
Facebook
Jerry.
all day. Yeah.
Well, yeah, likes. Likes
Yeah,
are dopamine hits, right?
Yeah, and he's laughing when he's making the picture, and then he's getting likes and comments.
No, I laugh while I make half the pictures that I make I can't post.
yeah,
And I just laugh all fucking day long. Like I'll think about them while I'm in bed, and I'll go. And so I had fears. I had real fears when I got clean that nothing was going to be funny anymore. I wasn't going to be able to enjoy music. I wouldn't have an attention span, and my attention span hasn't gotten much bigger. But I can read books again, right? I think I laugh more genuinely now than I ever have.
I agree. I do too. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
laughter now is way more enjoyable.
It is because it's real. I'm not.
More
I'm not putting.
colorful. It's
And so is.
But the things that we laugh at are just completely bananas.
Inappropriate.
Like
as fuck.
very inappropriate. The shit that I gotta say to laugh, I think is gonna get me locked up one day.
Oh no, same here. Like I am a
and
man.
it's getting worse, right?
And it's getting worse.
I was just watching something about how, like, when you start doing sexual acts like this, and then it goes, you got to do more.
Yeah, you
gotta do some more,
desensitize
more,
and you
gotta
need
do more,
to
gotta do
take
more.
it a step further.
And that's how your comedy's just basically about rape and incest at this point, Yusuf. It's fucking ridiculous. It's
You guys are just looking for dopamine. So
so
do some
she's
harm
gonna
reduction.
show up in like a trench coat. Like I got this good dopamine.
got this good blue cheese, dog.
No, you don't. Oh my fucking god! You always just circle back to the worst shit that exists, don't you? Like conservatives and blue cheese.
He looks
Blue cheese is good. Conservatives, I mean, ugh.
blue cheese.
Oh snap!
It was good. I liked it. Pete almost vomited when even the thought of it.
I'll say I didn't know I was a conservative until a year ago. I didn't really follow politics
You might not
or
have
anything.
been. You could have been a leftist, and then the left just keeps going.
Well, here's the
further
thing.
left
I
and
was-
leaving you right.
So does the right, though.
I
mean,
was-
both going. Really
No, the
far.
overall the whole political
What's
system
her
pulls
name?
left.
Oh, come on.
I
It
was
has
getting
to pull
ready to
left.
vote for Joe
Wa-
Jordan.
Over time, it pulls left.
Jorgensen.
Joe
Yeah,
Jorgensen.
she was the libertarian
Fucking
last year.
Nut job.
I was getting ready to vote for her. All right, and then like a week before elections, I sat down. I'm like, okay, well, what are my values?
And then you opened up a bag of Cheetos and started licking your fingers.
That's what because
And you went, fuck,
No,
I
I'm
should vote for
interested.
Trump.
Shh. What are
Well,
his
yeah.
values? What are your values?
Lord have mercy.
Dude, yeah, don't ask him this
Weird
on air,
question.
please.
Definitely, I guess I don't even know, I guess, how to answer that question. But when I sat down and evaluated everything, it came to I'm like, oh, holy shit, because there's some things that Trump did that I just can't go with. But when I had to evaluate that, okay, well, I'm in America, so I'm an American, and I need to evaluate what benefits me over here on this side of the ocean. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I side with things that Trump sides with.
So what? Like, what are those values that led you to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, I definitely want my life to be easier here. I don't care about what other people are doing in other places. I want cheap products. I want my neighbor to thrive and have a good life. Like
No one in Bay City is thriving and having a good life.
this
though.
is Bay City.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you
Bay
just said you
City's
want
a
cheap.
common
You
man.
want cheap products, right? And in order to get cheap products, you got to get them from overseas now.
China.
That's because we're.
But you want to
importing
tax
everything
and
to over
tariff
there.
the shit out of stuff that comes out of China.
Can I tell you something?
Tariff the fuck out of it.
Why can't we produce stuff here? Remember back in the day when we made everything here?
Yeah, and we don't anymore.
Well, let's
Wow.
get over
'Cause
our
of-
obsession of
That's 'cause
plastic
of-
and crap.
It's just because of Henry Kissinger, though. They wanted to build up. Kissinger wanted to build up China.
he was
and
the
they
Secretary of State, right?
They
for
started
Nixon?
sending after we got out of Nam, they just started sending all the jobs to China. They were supposed to build up China,
There's a lot of tax breaks and shit, but
and then the World Trade Organization came into play, and China just took off. Thanks, Big Bush, you dead bastard.
He was in Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under Nixon and Ford.
Anyway, you know what? Okay, I guess here's how I can answer it the easiest way. So one thing that was about Bay City is we had a lot of mom and pop shops.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The butcher, the marketplace. Like now it's just Walmart, 7-Eleven, etc.
We still got the couple meat stores, man. We're one of the
do.
only
Bless their
cities
hearts.
that got
Yeah.
real butchers.
Without a
I'm gonna
doubt,
second
yes.
that.
Without a doubt. So that's one thing that I think
We got the best Polish
as I
sausage
got
in the
older,
world.
I'm starting to
Agreed.
see.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
I was going to say Kramer's, but they went out of business.
Yeah,
There's
they
still
did.
got the other shop. No, there's the one they had a second location by the
on
sugar
the
beet
west side.
factory.
Oh, I
Is it
didn't
still
Yeah.
open?
Yeah. The one by the sugar beet factory is still open.
Well, are you sure about that? Because I could have sworn I went past it recently. I was like, we're gonna have to look.
The one
into
on the
that.
south end's gone.
Yeah, I know that.
The one
I
by
know
the
that. I
sugar
used to
beet
go.
factory is still open, as far as I know, by the trailer park.
Yeah,
I
Well,
think
we'll
it's
have to
still there.
correct us in the comments.
But the two
please.
on Kosciuszko are good. And the
Larry's and the meat shop are both
Yeah,
good.
and
Larry's Polish sausage is better than the meat shop's Polish sausage.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
You guys should do an episode where you taste test Polish sausage.
girl, you talking my language.
Mm.
I kind of like that idea.
Polish
Do
sausage.
like a blind taste test.
Ooh,
I'll feed you guys sausage in your mouth.
No.
no, it's
Why
okay.
not? And I'll say, which one do you like? The one on the left or the one on the right? A or B?
Okay, this is where you mute.
I'm not
him.
doing
No.
anything with my eyes closed around you at all. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Move a little.
that's
That's like falling
You
asleep.
guys need to be daredevils.
That's like falling asleep in front of your white friends when you're too drunk. Like you don't want to do that, bro.
Yeah, you can wake
You're
up with penises drawn
missing an
everywhere.
eyebrow and
That's true.
shit. Like it's not a good idea.
When I first got to the States, I passed out when I was a freshman. And actually, the principal had to track me down, and he's like, you got a dick on your head. I used to shave my head. They Sharpied a dick on my head, and like all day, everybody was laughing at me. And then the principal was walking by. He's like, Mr. Elgul, come here. And I was like, well, what's up? And he's like, come into the office. And like he pointed it out to me, and he was like, "It's okay, they're having fun."
You totally deserve that.
And I was just
No-
like, "Well, I'll be damned."
No wonder we suffer the fucking wrath of Yusuf all the time. All right,
that was his-
we're running long, so let's.
That's his villain origin story.
All right, Chris. Closing thoughts.
So harm reduction. I'm for harm reduction. I definitely think that if we're gonna start decriminalizing and legalizing more drugs, they have to be made in this country, and you're gonna have to prevent them coming over the border because they're gonna keep coming over the border, and it's big business, and it's gonna be hard to stop. You gotta do something. I like how we did it with pot though, because they don't bring pot over the border anymore.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean? Like you can't. There's literally like 50 dispensaries within like a 25-mile radius.
But in our state. But what about those other states?
Right.
Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts.
I think harm reduction is a concept that like doesn't apply to political party, right? So you can be whoever and still think any person deserves like a quality of life, and that's always something you can come back to together because when you guys go off on these two extreme sides, you probably still want people to live. I think. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You do, Chris?
Well, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to believe sometimes.
It's the
Even
Democrats that are killing people.
Even
No,
those
you're-
babies with their guns.
Yeah, whatever. We need.
Okay, Yusuf. And remember, if it gets wild, we will cut you.
I got you. If you're go,
Yeah.
go, dog.
I don't know. It's very interesting. I guess the American train of thought is probably diseased from the get-go because over on the other side of the ocean, people think differently. So, like the way right now when she's talking about, like they use heroin and they go to work and they function and people are living their lives, of which like I can attest to, like the quality of life over there is different. And when you come here, it's like a complete 180, and you have to retrain your brain to function here so that you can fit in and you're not, basically the odd one out. So it's like, holy shit.
What's your excuse then?
Me, bro?
You are the odd one out.
I don't fit in here. I think because of when I moved in, I don't fit in here and I don't fit in there anymore. So
you fit in here.
I'm in the fringe area where I'm just
you fit in here
talking about fucking dolphins and how they want to take advantage of you anytime you go to SeaWorld. Never go to SeaWorld.
No, fuck SeaWorld. No, it's wrong to have that big ass whale in that little ass tank.
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
Agreed.
Bullshit.
That's
how I feel every time I get in the
Let's get
bathtub.
those guys free.
That's how I feel when I get in the bathtub. Big ass whale, little ass thing.
But without a doubt.
So,
Have you talked about your love for baths on this?
Do you have a love for baths? I love
Yeah, I do.
baths.
Pete
Yeah, I do.
loves baths.
Oh, Flower Dick does?
Flower Dick Pete.
listen.
That's for another day. That's for another
No, that's
episode.
never up for topic. I'll
No?
quit right now again.
We call him old Flower Dick Pete over here.
So
That's how they'll tell tales about you. Like in the 100 years from now, they'll be like,
How'd
"Old
you know?"
Flower
out
Dick
of
Pete lived
everything
down
I've
the
ever
road."
done, it'll be the one time I put my fucking dick around a bunch of rose petals.
That's exactly what they say, bro. It's like you build 1,000 bridges, you're a bridge builder. You suck one dick, you're a dick sucker.
So, in conclusion, you two are fucking jerks. Stephanie, thanks for flying all the way out here to
Just be on our podcast.
just
the
be
only
no
reason
other
she
fucking
can.
reason whatsoever.
Jerry
we
I'm
are
also-
that big of a deal.
A&W. A&W is the other reason.
I mean, I would for that too.
Have you tried Burger 81?
Glizzy and a root beer.
I've never tried Burger 81.
You should try some Burger 81.
It was the second to last hot now in town,
Yeah.
in the world. Now there's still one, I believe, in Sturgis, Michigan.
Sturgis.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah.
true. Oh,
It was-
actually, I think it closed a
Did
couple
it?
weeks ago.
No.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it did.
It did,
I'm pretty
didn't
sure.
it? Yeah,
It was
yeah.
founded in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I lived for 20 years.
That's where I live right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I went to Western.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Yusef, Chris, and Stephanie, I'm Pete. Everybody enjoy your. This is going to be Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Enjoy your Wednesday. Blue cheese sucks. And
Have a good one, y'all.
No, I'm busy tonight, actually.